Welcome to Millersdale. You'll have seen from the titles that I've adopted the same slightly grandiose approach of Netflix and Amazon Prime in calling this Series 1, Episode 1. Whether I actually make it to Episode 2 or not is an open question. I have a bit of a reputation for starting things with great enthusiasm and then finding something even more interesting elsewhere. So we will see. But this particular video is based on the Transport Fever 2 game, which I have to say I discovered during COVID and played many hundreds of hours on it, and I think it kept me sane. So as you can see, I'm still about to play it with a new map. Anyway, what we have here is an extract from a 1 to 25,000 Ordnance Survey map of a small area in the Peak District in Derbyshire between Bakewell and Buxton. And you can see that there is a river, the River Wye, moving from northeast to southwest. It's in a good, deep gorge all the way and with lots of twists and turns. And alongside that river, you can see what is now marked as a cycle trail, which is the line of the old Midland Railway, which ran from Derby to Manchester and was closed in I think after the Beeching Act in 1968. So what this map shows is the river valley and the railway line, and you can see there's an orange dot on it on the right hand side and a blue dot in the center, and we will return to those later. I should have mentioned that the river we're looking at is in fact the River Wye, which joins up with the River Derwent on the east side of Bakewell, which we'll be seeing later, and then the Derwent joins the massive River Trent further on south in the Midlands. And the old railway line and cycle track that I'm referring to is the Monsall Trail, named after Monsall Head, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. And you can also note that there are several tunnels as the railway line proceeds in a straight line through in and out of the twists and turns of the Wye Gorge. So I should have mentioned earlier that I've only recently started my YouTube channel, and this is the first serious video that I'm trying to produce to upload onto it. So it's very much a learning experience for me, both in terms of the production quality and all the complications that go with video editing. Anyway, returning to the map, what you see now is a contour map showing the same part of the landscape that we saw in the previous Ordnance Survey map, but this is a contour map which has been produced by Transport Fever 2, the game that we're using, based on real-world height contour data obtained from Ordnance Survey. The contour lines you can see on this Transport Fever map are, I believe, at 20-metre intervals, whereas the lines on the previous Ordnance Survey map are at 5-metre intervals. So the Ordnance Survey map gives greater detail than this one does. So you remember I referred to the two, the orange dot and the blue dot in the previous map. Well, these white blobs you can see here on this map are located in the same place as the dots on the previous map. Now, I hope you'll agree with me that that is a pretty impressive match. The map on the right is slightly more close up than the Ordnance Survey map, but you can definitely see that we're in the same place. So the area covered by the Transport Fever 2 map on the right is approximately 400 square kilometres, which is defined on the game as a huge map. My plan is to use the Transport Fever 2 game to add on the old railway lines, and the road network and the settlement patterns. I shall not only be using the Ordnance Survey maps, but also Google Earth Pro, which is an upgraded and free improvement on Google Maps, and we'll come back to that in a future episode. So the camera is now at maximum altitude on the Transport Fever 2 map, and I've done this to illustrate a problem, I think, with these real-world height contour maps. It's very difficult to spot exactly where you are in comparison to the Ordnance Survey map. And what these need is somebody somehow to find a way of putting the Ordnance Survey grid on top of the Transport Fever 2 map. That will make locating yourself within 1 kilometre squares much simpler. Okay, let's go back to the map we saw at the beginning. So in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got the railway viaduct crossing the River Wye at Monsall Head, and in the centre of the map, we've got the railway line running along the side of the gorge of the River Wye at Cressbrook Tunnel. I want to look at both these points in a little more detail to illustrate what I think is the difference between Google Maps and Google Earth Pro. As far as I'm aware, on Google Maps, you can get an aerial view, but it's a top-down view as shown here. You can't lower the angle so you can get a feel for what the landscape is doing around it. However, there is one thing you can do with Google Maps, and that's to make use of the little yellow man in the bottom right-hand corner, which, as you can see, I'm doing here now. There are two problems with this. The first is that you can only drop the yellow man onto an area of the map which has got a blue line or a blue dot in it. That is where the Google camera has been. The second problem is that when you do drop the little yellow man onto the blue line, as I'm doing here, you do end up with a ground view, but it is only a ground view. You can't raise the camera up. You can turn it round through 360 degrees, but it is an extremely limited view. So I didn't realize until a couple of weeks ago when I was researching this project that there is a more advanced version of Google Earth called Google Earth Pro, which is also free. This picture is taken from the camera of Google Earth Pro. As you can see, it's the Monsall Head Viaduct again, but this time we're up in the air and slightly to the left, which gives a much more interesting shot. In addition, by using the mouse as a toggle, you can maneuver the camera into any position you want from this spot. This is only the still shot, as I have to confess I am having a little trouble learning how to control the camera using the mouse, and we'll see more of that in another episode. Now we are in a position to compare the shot from the Google Earth Pro camera to the shot taken from a similar position on the Transport Fever 2 map, with the aqueduct filled in and a few trees thrown in for good measure. Right, now let's turn our attention to the second area of the map that we're going to look at in close-up. So this is a picture from Google Earth Pro of the entrance to Cressbrook Tunnel, which you can just see in the centre of the picture there. And coming out of the tunnel, you can see the track of the old railway line, which is now a cycle and walking trail, the Monsall Trail. And for the final shot of this episode, we can see a comparison between the entrance to the Cressbrook Tunnel from Google Earth Pro and the same view from Transport Fever 2. And I know some of you have been waiting a long time to see one, but here we can actually see not one but two trains. So we've come to the end of the first episode in this series, which I hope you found informative. I will be producing more, hopefully in the not too distant future. My next step will be to upload this map of Millersdale onto Transport Fever 2 Workshop so that anybody can access and download it, and they may find this video useful when they do so. Thank you.